Item 8.2, resolution number 112-24, authorizing installation of a State of Florida historical marker at 501 21st Street at the Pleasant City Community Center, designating Pleasant City as historical.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners. I am Benjamin Slaughter. I'm the City Historic Preservation Planner. This is my first time in front of you all, so I appreciate
Welcome,
it.
welcome.
Thank you. The Pleasant City Family Reunion Committee is requesting that a historic marker funded by the Florida Historical Marker Program be installed at District 1 Kathleen Ward's city-owned property, Pleasant City Community Center at 501 21st Street. Section 66-13 requires City Commission approval of above-ground design features. Historically fully supports this marker and to be added to our built environment. That's the end of my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, questions, comments? Okay, we do have a few cards. First item is a speaker who does not want to speak, William Holland, but he does support this item. Okay, we have some cards from those who do want to speak. I'll read your name out if you could begin approaching the podium. Jeremy Johnson, Francis Clark, and Michael Cleveland. Mr. Johnson.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, distinguished commissioners. I'm Jeremy Johnson. I have the privilege of serving as the president and CEO of the Historical Society of Palm Beach County, and I'm here tonight to speak in favor of this historic marker being placed in Pleasant City. I had the pleasure of knowing Every Jimerson Clark for a number of years, and over the years we appreciated all of the things that she did to pull together the rich history and heritage of this area of our city. So much so that in 2012, the Historical Society of Palm Beach County bestowed on Mrs. Clark one of the highest honors that we do put out into the community, which is the Fannie James Award for Preserving Pioneering History. I have the pleasure of being here tonight with her daughter, Frances, and also her longtime volunteer, Esther. So I just want you to know how important I think this is for our community and for our community's history and heritage. So I strongly encourage you to support this historic marker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Francis Clark.
I am Frances Clark. I'm here representing the Pleasant City Family Reunion Committee and Heritage Gallery. As he mentioned, my mother championed this effort. She passed away 2 years ago at the age of 95. She gave her life preserving the history of Pleasant City. A lot of people want to know why. That was my question growing up, why? Because people don't seem to care. And she would gather us around and tell the story of how, as a child, her father was a preacher in Pleasant City. Excuse me. He would take her with him when he would go to visit the sick, the shut-in, and the elderly. And they would sit her down and tell her the story about how we came to reside in this, it seemed like a private community. It was such a joy to live there. And they told her the story of how immigrants came with Henry Flagler to build the Florida East Coast Railroad, which we still have today. And they built the Royal Poinciana Hotel, the Breakers Hotel, several mansions and museums, and so on. After 20 years of encampment, conditions were rather poor. This was in the 1800s. There was no electricity, no running water, no fire department, and so on. The migrant workers lived in this little camp named the Sticks. After everything was built and Palm Beach had the beginnings of what we know today, the workers were no longer needed in this area visible to his elite clientele, his hotel visitors. So they were displaced. After 20 years of working there, they were displaced. They had nowhere to go. West Palm Beach wasn't even here. Nowhere to go. A friend of Flagler's George Curry, who was an investor in land development, bought this section of town, platted it, and sold it to the migrant workers who had money. They'd been working for 20 years, and they had no place to live. So they did whatever they could to establish this community and bring over across the bridge the semblance of what they had there. They had a few churches, a few schools, and things that you can imagine back in that day, the 1800s, wasn't much to speak of. And during that time, they all came over to Pleasant City. There were a few that ventured into different parts.
Okay.
Is my time up?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Your
Oh,
time
I'm
is-
so sorry.
That's why we got to talk. Okay, thank you. That was good to hear that history. Michael Cleveland?
Good evening, staff, commissioners, mayor, Michael Cleveland, West Palm, and Pleasant City. We all have our own version of what happened and occurred in the sticks. I won't go that way this evening. I do have my own rendition. I'm here to ask that I'm not understanding exactly what is a marker. And working with Mrs. Clark, I do know we signed petitions for Pleasant City community to become a historical district, not just a marker, the entire community. So I'm not sure where this marker came up at. And that has always been our plight, to have Pleasant City designated. And once again, your agenda item listed as being a black historical neighborhood in the city, perhaps one time in the county. So that's what I would ask. Also, I would ask the changes of the original boundaries were at 17th Street to 23rd, not 15th Street. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, that's the end of the cards. Commissioner Warren, and then President Ward, and Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you all for ensuring that we never forget the significance of Pleasant City to the city of West Palm Beach. It certainly holds its rightful place, and the memory should not be lost. And I'd like to say that one of the first successful campaigns capital campaigns to improve a part of West Palm Beach was actually done in Pleasant City to improve Pleasant City. By the then, she was not the commissioner at that time, but she went on to become commissioner representing District 1. So I don't have very much to say other than to say that I know how important Pleasant City is, and thank you all for ensuring that we all make sure that we remember the value and significance.
President Ward.
Thank you. I know I've spoken with Ms. Clark before, and she's told me about all the history that she shares now and holds on to, that her mom collected, and I hope that one day we can have it shown to other people in the area, because I know how important it is. And I know we've talked before about the Historic Northwest and the work that we did in historic preservation, and I really hope that it continues through Coleman Park and Pleasant City, because there's so much history, even, Chachi's historic marker in Sunset, and now we have this historic marker. And so it's people like you that help us preserve that history and remember how important it was, so that we can continue and keep people in these neighborhoods. So thank you very much for coming here, and I'm fully supportive of this.
Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on the juxtaposition of these two items that we just passed, and this one that we're considering. That the last one was about our future, about children and climate change, or young adults, and that this is about preserving our history and how important it is for us to consider both aspects in guiding and leading our city. So thank you so much, and I'm proud to support this item.
Well, I'm happy that we are a city that does still recognize history, particularly history of those who are less fortunate than others. Any other? Yeah, Commissioner Peduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that to Ms. Clark, I have that book on Pleasant City that I believe your mom was instrumental in writing, or she actually authored it. That's a historical perspective of Pleasant City. And the pictures in it, I've read it cover to cover, and I just find it fascinating. The pictures in it are just unbelievable and incredible that someone took the time to document the importance of Pleasant City to our city as a whole. And I just wanted to thank you and your mom for that, and I'm happy to support this motion.
Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 112-24.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8.3, resolution number 1.